Okay, so in the last session we discussed about uh, some of the annotations, right? So the if you see the build path again, the same jar files, the same version jar files. Uh, some are from required folder, some are, one is JPA folder, one is from one is a database driver folder. Okay, and there are two bins, employee employee and address bins, right? There are two bins, employee and address. So in order to uh, embed, normally in one class there may be a possibility of having another class also, defining another object also, right? So it is possible, right? So how it handles, Hibernate handles. Suppose if it is an integer, Hibernate knows how to map in the database as integer, right? So whenever I say string, it is creating varchar. Whenever I say integer, it is creating again integer, right? Suppose if we use Oracle, it is integer become number, string will become varchar, integer will become number, date will become date, right? So it knows we already have a predefined classes or data types in Java. So we already have a predefined data types in database. Hibernate is mapping internally in its code that if it mapping, it is maintaining the mapping. If I use in Java, if I use integer, it means that it is a number. If you use string in Java class, it becomes a varchar in the database. So, but what happens when I have address, when I have single address, right? Single office address, let's say, single office address. So at that time, what happens is I have to annotate that address as embed. See, here I am not maintaining any relationship. What I want to embed. I want to embed means it is also a same database column. It's not a separate entity. It's not an entity. I don't want entity. I'm not working with the entity. Now I want to embed, right? So what happens if I say get set of its address and get of its address, right? And if I make address embedded for this office address, and then the address class, if I make embeddable, I have to use embeddable annotation, right? So the client program you already know, right? In the client program, what I did, set office address equal of office address. So what happens in the database? It has created the open table, right? So now employee and vehicle, right? Earlier it was created here, right? Earlier it was created here, and employee address and employee pin code, right? So those two fields only we have written. Okay, address and pin code. Okay, earlier it was created like that, right? Now suppose if I have office address and home address, right? If I have office address and home address, so what happens if I use only office address? It is creating two columns, employee address and pin code. It is using employee address and pin code. Suppose if I have two fields, two address fields. So office address and home address, two address fields here in employee, right? Home address and office address, both are having setters and getters, both are annotated with embedded, right? So at the time what happens, uh, so it tries to insert the same column names for the two fields, right? So it's a error. So we cannot have a two same column names on this single table, right? So we need to override at least one, right? So in the employee, what I did is I used this syntax at the rate attribute overrides, at the rate attribute override, at the rate attribute override. For each column, you have to mention at the rate override, and all this attribute override we have to make a collection of in the attribute overrides. It's a syntax. Okay, you need to remember that, and similarly I also mentioned for the home address. So at that time, what happens? It will create home pin and home address columns, office pin, office address columns for the office. Okay, so suppose if I don't override for one, right, for home address or office address, if I don't override, it tries to create the same columns whatever I have specified here. So, but in case of office address, I am overriding the specified values. Right? If you want, you can override two, and if or else at least one is fine, right? So this is about embedding a single instance. What I need to do if I have a multiple addresses, I don't know how many addresses. Okay, this employee is going on site in different locations, right? He has different addresses. Okay, so how to maintain that? Okay, so I have a collection here, and at the rate embedded will not work here. You have to use the at the rate element collection. It's a collection. Okay, so at the rate element collection I am using now. So what happens when I use when I set this and when I generate getters and setters, and if I run the client program, it created a separate table. We call it as a join table. It created a join table with some names and all. So for maintaining this list, address list, it maintains a separate table, right? So if you want that table name as our one, we can customize the table name using the join table annotation, and you can change the column names using the join columns. Okay, so this is the way we use at the rate element annotation, element collection annotation. And in the client program we can add any number of addresses. So these addresses will be created in the separate table, right? And also yesterday we discussed about lazy and eager initialization, right? Get, what is meant by get? Select query based on primary key value. Okay, whenever I want employee object with ID 2, I'm saying. So it is getting the new employee, and I'm able to get the all the employees. So if it is a address, right? If it is address, because address stored in a separate table, it has to be some special query we require, right? So when I say session.get, it's not getting automatically addresses list at that particular time itself. It's not populating address list at that time. It's populating address whenever I say get address list. Whenever I say get address list, at that time it is querying and it is getting the results. I mean, if I don't want to get method should not take much time, because if you need an address list also means I need to write a join query and I need to do many things. I need to populate many things and I have to provide, may take some time. Populating this object may take some time. What I want to do is what Hibernate is doing is at the time he needs address list, at the time I will query and I will get it. It doesn't need, it may not be needed, employee object may not be needed now address list. Whenever it needs, at that time only it is getting. That's why it is called a lazy initialization by default. If you want eager initialization, you have to use the fetch type called eager here. For the element collection, you should have an attribute fetch, and if fetch type is eager, what it does is, at the time of get only, it writes a join query to get the address list as well. This is called a eager initialization. Okay, this is what we discussed yesterday. Still, we need, if any session, we will take a separate session for it. Okay, and after that we created, I'm closing all, we created a separate project yesterday and with the same jar files, right? And also in employee, I used only one-to-one annotation, right? I used only one-to-one annotation. Right? I used only one-to-one annotation to employee to vehicle, right? So see here, you may not, you may confuse here. Earlier also separate class here has a relationship. It's not only has a relationship, it's a separate entity. Earlier address is not a separate entity. So I will also combine that also. You may understand now better. So what I will do is I will also create. Okay, I will also create private address also. Okay, address. Okay, address. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so address, new address. Create class for address. I'm creating a class address, that's fine. What I will do is I will have some string street, and I will have some string in. Okay, so after this I want to generate getters and setters. Source, generate getter setters, select all. Okay, and I want to have a constructors as well. So okay, this is a constructors. So what I need to use? I need to use embeddable. In the employee, what I need to use? I need to generate getters and setters first. So generate getter setters. Okay, I said home address, that's fine. In the client program, what I will do, I will create a new address for this and set home address, new address of, so high-tech city, 520. Similarly, employee 1 set home address, also I am using employee 1. Okay, yeah, here also I am using the same, let's say high-tech city 1. Okay. Now what I have done yesterday, and also there is a vehicle class. You need to understand a difference between address and vehicle. Don't confuse with these two. Address is just for embedding. It's not a relation. I'm not maintaining any relationships But vehicle, I want to have a relationship. One relationships only happens between two entities. That means if you take in the relational database management system RDBMS, any RDBMS, what is meant by relations? Relations we maintain between two tables. Similarly, relations maintained between, in the same Hibernate language, relations happens between their table means here entities. Right? Relationship happen between entities. Of course, if it is a entity, you have to specify in the cfg.xml file. You are not maintaining in the cfg.xml file. I am not keeping any address, right? I am not keeping any address because it's not an entity, right? And at the same time, in the vehicle, I am keeping @ entity, but address I am not keeping @ entity because it's not an entity. And also in the client program, I'm saying session.save vehicle separately, but I'm not saying session.save of address, right? See, address is only we are embedding is nothing but employee has these two. That's it. I'm embedding these two fields, right? I'm embedding these two fields. That's it. It's nothing but you are creating a address within, street and pin within the employee. It's nothing but embeddable means it's nothing but street and pin also using in the employee, right? So that is the differences between address and vehicle. Don't confuse with these two. Here we are maintaining a relationship between employee to vehicle as one-to-one relationship because one employee has one vehicle. Assume that one employee has one vehicle, we want to maintain a relationship. So when I run the client program here, run as Java application, okay, it has generated two employees, two vehicles, right? Because we saved two employees and two vehicles, right? Employee one is one employee, two employees, vehicle one, two vehicles. That's why two insert statements, right? After that, for maintaining the relationships, uh, it is updating the after employees. Okay, it is updating the EMP table. Okay, so anyway, suppose if I go to the refresh, if you see the EMP table, you can see pin and street in this table, right? So again, there is a column. So, and this one we don't have column name with vehicle ID, right? So it is actually it creating automatically to show you the relationship, right? To have a relationship, it is creating it is creating by default, right? It has created by default if you place one to one, because you are maintaining one to one relationship. What it is doing for each employee, it is maintaining employee vehicle ID, because it's a one to one relationship. I can place within the employee, right? So that means employee ID 1, there is a vehicle called uh, with ID 1. That means what is the with ID 1? Car, right? For employee ID 2, there is a vehicle ID 2. That means car 1, right? So for employee 2, there is a car 1. For employee 1, there is a vehicle called car, right? So it's again a join column, right? I can use uh, any column name. See, there is a vehicle underscore ID. I don't want underscore. I want vehicle ID. So you can manage that because it's a join column, right? So what I can do, where it, yeah, together means session dot save and session dot save vehicle. Both you have to save, because each entity, right? That is entity, that is separate entity, this is separate entity. You have to say employee dot save these for these two, right? Okay, so in the employee, so where is this vehicle ID join column? What updation, Bindu?
No, actually what I'm asking is in the employee table, the employee details will be there, right? So then, like after two or three transaction, is it possible to update the vehicle details, inserting a new vehicle to that particular employee?
A new vehicle to the, but yes, it's always possible, right? I mean, the same employee.
No, what I'm asking is initially that only employee details will be there. There is no vehicle for that employee. So when
Okay.
they added after that, is it possible to add the vehicle?
I mean, after, so
Yeah, like
after
what
you have some
is it
data.
necessary to insert a vehicle details while inserting a employee detail? We can't do it later. That vehicle
Yeah,
details.
see, database itself doesn't accept, right? Suppose if you have a one-to-one relationship, right? Database itself doesn't accept that. If you have a one-to-one relationship, suppose, let's say what I will do is I am inserting manually here, okay? Three,
Hmm.
uh,
Okay.
something, some four. Okay, I'm not giving anything in the vehicle ID. I'm just saving apply changes. So it is accepting. So it will accept in the Hibernate also. It's not a problem then. So what I will do is for testing purpose, I will not save address. Sorry, in the client class, what I will do is I'm not saving the vehicle. So nothing but you are saying like this, right? Right? Similar. Okay, I'm not giving any vehicle details for one employee. Okay, so I'm just running that. Run as Java application. Object represents unsaved transient instance. Are we using any vehicle? Okay, vehicle, right? Where else we use that? Object reference an unsaved transient instance. So vehicle one it is used by this. Okay, that's fine. Vehicle. So what I will do is I will save this vehicle. I'm not setting the vehicle. Okay, run as Java application. Let's see what happens. So it's not accepting in heavy net, right? So I mean, I kept null here, right? To execute my program, it is allowing null. I mean, basically we have to use setter method of that vehicle. So I can place null instead of, I mean, if I don't mention anything, it is giving some error. Suppose if I don't mention, if I don't use vehicle setters method, right? So it is giving an error. So at least null we have to provide here. I mean, if you don't want to initialize the vehicle, if a employee doesn't have any vehicle, so you can have a null there, run as. Okay, so I mean, you can forcibly have a not null as well. I think here there is a not null, right? So, uh, I mean, and now it is allowing null, right? So suppose if I in the database, if I change vehicle ID as not null here, not null column is there, right? If I mention this one, it will not allow null value, right? Similarly, uh, in the Java also, what I can do is in the one-to-one relationship, I can also mention not null. I think. Yeah, there is an annotation called not. Sorry, sir. It's not a persistent, right? I want Java X persistence. Okay. Anyway, we should have some annotations for that also. This is about employee. So in the employee, right? In the employee, we also have an vehicle ID, right? So this is called a join column. This join column I want to change. The name of the join column I want to change. So I can use join column name equal to vehicle ID. Join column name equal to vehicle ID. So what I will do, run as Java application. So again, refresh. So join column will become vehicle ID. There is no underscore. Okay, the column names can be customizable. Okay, so you can also have null in the vehicle ID if you don't employee doesn't have any vehicles. So you can also specify null. So or else vehicle. So I'm placing vehicle here. Run as application. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts, Binod Neha? right? So we'll move to next example. So what I'm doing here is in the vehicle one-to-one relationship, right? So what if I have one-to-many? So that means one employee has more number of one or more number of vehicles. So at that time I cannot use one-to-one, right? So what I'm doing uh, for backup, I am commenting it. Okay. So home address is fine. Vehicle, right? Vehicle status and getters also I need to comment it. So what I will do, I will write completely same place and I'm committing at a time. Okay. So I want to use, so if it is a vehicles, yes, I maintain. Okay. And one to many, one employee has more number of vehicles. One employee has more number of vehicles. That means I have to specify list or set or some collection, right? I cannot have normal. So you can take any collection, um, set or list, array list, anything is fine. I'm taking list here, vehicle, and new hashtag I'm taking. Okay, so these vehicles I will generate setters and getters. Source, generate getter setters, select all. Okay, okay, and here I need to mention one to many annotation. All right, it was imported Java X persistence class, and vehicle I didn't change anything. Okay, in the Hibernate class I need to change. Uh, I need to add some vehicles. So some vehicles, vehicle one. I cannot say this one, right? So what I have to say, first I have to get the list, get vehicles dot add of vehicle one. Similarly, vehicle two, three. So get vehicles will get the all the vehicles. I'm for get vehicles. I'm adding this, right? In the employees, I'm getting the vehicles. I'm adding to that set, right? Similarly, I will do for the same for employee. So I have to specify vehicle one. I have to save vehicle two, vehicle three, right? Vehicle two, vehicle three. Similarly, I will not have this. So what I will do, I will also map these vehicles for employee one as well. Employee one, one, one. I don't have vehicle one. Already saved, right? Okay. So I have three vehicles. I have two employees. These two employees have these three vehicles mapping. Alright. Otherwise, if you want more vehicles, I can add. So, I mean, for employee two, the vehicles are different. Let's say 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you can have same thing here. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. Okay, there are 6 vehicles, 2 employees. One employee is having 3 vehicles. Second employee is having other 3 vehicles. You have to say every entity. You have to specify save here. Okay, you have to specify save for every entity. Each entity you have to specify save. Right? I think everything you know, right? Everything I just specified a new annotation called one to many, right? Run as Java page. Okay, you are seeing different one to many, right? Insert employee and vehicle, you know this, and employee vehicle, you know this. There is a new tables have been created to maintain the one to many relationship. Right? I mean, you have, I think you have an idea of one to many relationship in the database, right? How you maintain one to many relationship? You may have a separate table here, right? Insert into AMP vehicle. So what he is doing is refresh. So he has created uh, tables. He has created tables, employee table. We don't have any mapping in the employee table. We don't have any mapping in the vehicle table. Okay, simple master tables. We call it as master table. Okay, employee has employee information, vehicle has vehicle information. For maintaining the relationship, he has created EMP vehicle. Here there is a employee ID 1, there is a vehicle ID 3, employee ID 1, that means for employee ID 1 we have vehicles of 3, 4, 5, employee ID 2 we have vehicles of 6, 7, 8. Right? We can get it, right? The relationship maintained. So it is fine. But see, you doesn't really have a relationship. Can you tell me, I mean, can you tell me, Neha and Bindu, how can we maintain a one-to-one relationship normally? Forget about this. In the database table, we have employee and vehicle, right? Employee and vehicle. Normally, one-to-many relationship. Employee has different vehicles. How to create a relationship one-to-many? One employee has many vehicles. We have employee table and vehicle table. How to maintain one-to-many relationship? Yes, employed in vehicle table, right? So, but it is not doing that. If you place employee ID in the vehicle, it's enough. It is not doing that. It is doing by default. It is creating a one joint table. Okay, it is creating a one joint table. Again, you can customize the joint table name. Everything you can do. Okay, so we can also tell Hibernate to create. Don't create a separate table. Okay, don't create a separate table for maintaining the mappings. Create, I mean, in the vehicle only. Okay, so we have to tell in the employee class something like mapped by. Okay, so no, we can't tell like this. Okay, I will come to that after some time, not now. This is not the right time. Okay, so he is not. He is creating the relationship using a joint table, right? Employee ID and vehicle ID. All right. So uh, I can customize the joint table name again, right? In the employee class, I can use at the rate joint table name. I can customize again the same thing, uh, right? Let me write that also. Joint table, right? Name equal to. So what is the name of the joint table again? EMP underscore vehicle, right? So EMP, this table name underscore this table name he has used for maintaining the relationship. He wants to create a new table. So for creating that table, he is using this something like this. Okay, EMP underscore vehicle. So joint table. I don't want underscore. Let's say EMP employee. Okay, employee vehicle I want. Let's say I can do that. Okay, so I'm running the client program Java application. Okay, so now you can see in the joint table became employee underscore vehicle. You can also see here, refresh, right? Employee underscore vehicle. See, existing employee EMP underscore vehicle will be there because there is no relationship with the Hibernate right now, right? That's why it cannot delete again even. It cannot delete even, right? I'm deleting manually drop table. Okay, employee vehicle. And also I can change the names of this particular columns as well. This particular columns as well. Okay, so by default, what Hibernate is using? It is using employee ID, primary key of employee and primary key of vehicle. It is using for mapping, right? I can also change this. Of course, if I change in employee ID, it will change automatically here. But I don't want to do that. I want for this join columns I want to maintain, right? So I can do that again in the same way using join column in this join table only, right? In that particular join table only, I have join columns, right? Equal to join column name equal to EMP ID. There is no, I don't want underscore. Okay, something like this. Okay, join columns equal to join column. Right? Okay, something like this. There is a join columns attribute. For this, you have to specify join column as EMP ID, right? This is joining the column. So I am refreshing the schema. In the sorry, I haven't run, right? So let me run the program. Right. So after running, I am refreshing the schema and employee vehicle as EMP ID, not EMP underscore ID. Both employee and vehicle are. Yes, I will come to that point. See, EMP ID now changed, right? So if you want to change vehicle ID, vehicle underscore ID, right? See, see this join column, employee ID is in the employee class itself. That's why it is called join column. But now I want to change vehicle ID. So vehicle ID I cannot change using the join columns. There is a special attribute here, inverse column, inverse join columns, equal to again same thing, at the rate join column. Okay, so this one EMP ID, vehicle ID. Okay, we call it as a inverse join column. This is called a normal join column. Because employee ID is within my employee class, that is called join column, but vehicle ID is not same class attribute. This is called inverse join column. Other inverse means, right? Uh, Run as Java application. Okay, so I'm refreshing the schema, employee vehicle, so you can able to see now. Right, this is about inverse. So in the same way, okay, so you have one employee and you have one-to-many relationship with the vehicles. That means, suppose if you want to get an employee, right? If I want to get an employee, I will get a vehicle. So suppose I will enable this comment, okay? Right, I will enable this comment. What I want is, I want to get a vehicles, right? A system.out.println. The same thing I am using here. Get vehicles. Okay, I am running the program, run as Java application. See what I am doing. I want to get the employee details with ID 2, right? So what I did, session.get of employee ID 2. So I will also get vehicles, right? I will also get vehicles. By default, it's a lazy initialization. So at the time of get vehicles, it creates a query, one-to-one relationship query, join query, and it gets all the vehicles corresponding to that, right? So if you want, you can print it, get names or something, right? I'm able to get it, right? What happens if I want reverse way? What is meant by reverse way? I want a vehicle class, right? I want to know the employee. I want to know that particular vehicle, who is the owner of that particular vehicle. Reverse way. I know one-to-many relation. I am maintaining a one-to-one relationship between employee to vehicles. That's why when I say employee, I am also getting corresponding vehicles of that particular employee, because I am maintaining one-to-many relationship between employee and vehicle. But what happens if I want a vehicle for a particular employee, right? I want a vehicle object. What I want is, I want an employee I want an employee using the vehicle ID 2. Okay, I can get the employee object using the employee I can get the vehicles, but using the vehicle, can I get an employee? Because we cannot get, right? Because we didn't maintain any relationship between vehicle to employee, right? We didn't maintain any relationship between vehicle to employee. Now we will maintain. So what we will do is, I want a corresponding employee of that vehicle, right? So what I will do is, I will maintain relationship using, we need employee, right? So I'm maintaining employee EMP, let's say, and I need to generate a new constructor. Okay, fine. Uh, so source generate getters and setters, select all, that's okay. And here, what is the relationship I need to maintain here? I need to see from vehicle to employee, it's a many to one relationship, right? Many to one. Many vehicles has one employee. ID is required here, right? So that it generates. I mean, it has to generate, right? Which ID in the vehicle table you are asking? Yeah, it's required, right? See, to map a vehicle, we need ID, right? I mean, in a separate table. No, we require internally Hibernate uses getters and setters, so we require that. I mean, every time what it does is every time it needs to initialize the ID, it uses getters and setters internally. Okay, so what we did, it was not there till now. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, it may be generating the value. Generated value may not be required, but at the rate ID is required. If I don't have any generated value, right, at that time we have to set and get manually in your client class. Maybe at the rate generated value it may not take. Right? Suppose if I don't have generated value, that means we have to, I mean, we have to specify using set ID of something. So at that time we require setters and getters. Maybe generated value doesn't require that. Okay. Uh, okay. So many to one, uh, many to one. I'm maintaining here relationship. Okay. So now what I will do. I will again run the program. So before running, I want to clear this. I want to remove because now there are temporary tables may be created. So okay, I'm running the program again. So I just introduced only one many to one annotation in the vehicle class. So I'm refreshing the schema. So I got so everything is same. There is no differences. Right. What is EMP ID here? Okay, fine. So employee ID we are not maintaining, right? We introduced a new in the vehicle class. We introduce a new employee, but we haven't saved that employee, right? That means we need to do one more thing like control V dot set EMP of employee or the employee one, right? Need to maintain this also, right? Otherwise, it doesn't know. It doesn't relationship doesn't know. So 5 and 6. So 4, 5, 6 have employee 1, and similarly for 1, 2, 3 I have employees only. Employee, employee, employee. Right? So now I'm running the program, run as Java application. Okay, so I'm uh, in the employee class we have this, in the vehicle class we have these three. So what happens again, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3. We forgot that 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Okay, run as Java application. Okay, so here if I run the vehicle, so I got relationship. It is maintaining the relationship something like this, right? And the vehicle class also it is maintaining the relationship, right? So now what I can do, I can also get employee. What is the vehicle? What are the employees? Sorry, which employee is corresponding to vehicle? I mean, this vehicle is belongs to which employee? I can also get using the same session something like this. So okay, I will do now itself. Okay, fine. So we will discuss remaining tomorrow. Okay. So till now, any doubts, any questions?